I swore to myself, you know, that I was only going to do the things that I wanted to do. And I don't regret anything I've done. I wouldn't change a thing. I never, ever wanted to be an actor. I'm still not sure I want to be an actor.
And now, Bravo Profiles Johnny Depp.
And action!
Johnny Depp brings a rare distinction to the art of acting.
Hi, this is Johnny Depp.
He's unique in the fact that he has no fear of failing.
Get in.
Yeah, he's an adventurer, but a quiet adventurer.
We've been friends for 30 years. Johnny's been like that since he's been a little boy, innately, instinctually, intuitively.
In his early television career, the buzz was all about his exotic good looks.
People think because he looks the way he does that maybe he cares a lot about his look, but I've never met anybody who just was more like wants to cover up and look as weird as possible.
But Johnny Depp is not your garden variety pretty boy. He has repeatedly defied the labels imposed on him by the Hollywood machine.
Johnny's one of these people that don't fit into a category. That probably pisses a lot of people off.
He's just sort of not definable, I don't think. You can't pin him down.
Johnny Depp's unconventional approach has earned him great success, yet he remains a reluctant movie star, seeking his own professional niche beyond the conventional spotlight.
I stopped reading magazines, newspapers, all that stuff, because I don't want to know what they're writing about me.
This is a person who can't help but be honest. That can be dangerous.
The perennial outsider, Depp now lives as an expatriate in France, far from the glare of Hollywood.
I think he's a very happy Frenchman these days.
Whether in his life or in his work, Johnny Depp is not a man with a taste for the ordinary.
You don't have to swallow what's being fed to you. You know, you can go out and search on your own. You know, there's more stuff out there.
Ever since Johnny Depp escaped his frustrating early days as a teen idol, he has been determined to chart his own course and resist not only the Hollywood status quo, but virtually everything the public had grown to expect from celebrity.
He's always, of course, gone his own way. He goes the way of the artist. He's an artist. That's the thing about Johnny.
Johnny Depp's career has been built on choices that are bold, provocative, and unpredictable.
I respect his choices, really. He's obviously going for the outcasts, and I have a lot of empathy for the outcasts in life.
There's no better example of Depp's affinity for outsiders than his role in Tim Burton's freakish fairy tale Edward Scissorhands. Depp plays a boy created by an eccentric inventor, then orphaned before he's given his hands. Instead, he has scissors.
Everybody in Hollywood wanted that part. Everybody.
Tim Burton at the time was a very hot director coming off a big film.
That big film was Batman. And the buzz around town was that Tom Cruise, then the hottest box office star in the world, was on the fast track to play the role of Edward Scissorhands.
I'd been sent an early version of Edward Scissorhands, the script, to read. When I read it, I thought of only one person for the movie, and that was Johnny.
It was 1989, and 26-year-old Johnny Depp was starring in the hit TV series 21 Jump Street.
Everyone said no to me. And it's not that they didn't think Johnny was a good actor. It's that they just felt that he was on a television series, that would never do.
That's the way the studio thinks, and so I always feel that fate enters into things a lot of the time.
Fate did indeed intervene, and a meeting between Burton and Depp was finally set up.
And I wasn't going to go to the meeting, in fact, because I just thought there was no hope. I just thought there's no way this guy's going to see me as, some sort of just TV actor. He's not going to cast me, Why go embarrass myself by meeting him?
After meeting him, I realized, it kind of fit the role because he was perceived as this sort of teen heartthrob from the TV show, when in fact, inside of himself, he really didn't, he's a different person. He's much deeper. He was a real contradiction from the image of what he was perceived at to what he really was inside. And, that was very much what the role of Edward Scissorhands was.
Finally, Johnny got the call he'd been hoping for.
I called him up at home and I said, well, how does it feel to be Edward Scissorhands? And you could just hear the screaming on the other line. He was so excited.
What happened to you?
I'm not finished.
Oh! Put those down. Don't come any closer. Just, please. Johnny was brilliant casting for Edward Scissorhands because they share, the character and Johnny share a vulnerability, and they also share a feeling of being outside.
Edward Scissorhands was shot in the summer of 1990 in Tampa, Florida.
East of Tampa. There's a difference.
Summertime in inland Florida offered some unique challenges for an actor dressed in full leather. It was also an opportunity for Johnny to demonstrate his commitment to his craft.
It's just the things that people don't see, being in like 100-degree weather, wearing a full leather suit, and still trying to act.
And then one night we had to do he had to do a running sequence, running away from the house. I think it's on Christmas. And he passed out. He fell down. We thought, well, is he acting? What's he doing? And he had passed out. Never complained, but he had passed out from the heat of the suit. It was really remarkable. That's somehow very revealing about him. And that quality comes through in his acting.
Edward Scissorhands remains one of Depp's most memorable performances, the role providing Johnny Depp the opportunity to prove that his appeal was more than skin deep.
Oh, and a lot of people dismiss actors that are just pretty looking. I think in many cases he tries to disguise his looks, so that's like, because it's like cheating being that good looking.
He conveys so much through his eyes. That emotional presence, the honesty of that presence is right there. The way he has to rely on, he's forced to rely on those eyes to express complex emotions. I'm very impressed by that performance.
I learned from Edward Scissorhands he's a silent movie actor. And he understands, that a lot of the acting is not in the words.
It's a very wise thing for Tim to say about Johnny, because it is very true. But oftentimes, as in the silent screen, when you have to open your mouth, the truth comes out. And when Johnny opens his mouth, the truth gets deeper.
John Christopher Depp II was born in 1963 in Owensboro, Kentucky. Johnny was the youngest of four. His father, John, was a civil engineer. His mother, Betty Sue, a waitress. When Johnny was 7, his family left Kentucky and moved to Miramar, Florida, a small town north of Miami. Johnny and his new classmate, Sal Jenko, became best friends.
It's like, when you meet somebody and you feel like you know them. That kind of thing. So that's sort of what we had in common.
Johnny was a shy kid who never really fit into his new surroundings. Instead, he found refuge in his imagination.
I think mostly we were dreamers. We did our thing.
But at 15, Johnny's family was thrown into turmoil when his parents divorced.
He was close with his brother and sisters, very tight-knit, and real close with Mom and Dad. Very nice people. It's a sad thing.
When Johnny Depp arrived in Los Angeles in 1983, he was just 20 years old, and becoming an actor was the furthest thing from his mind. Depp was playing guitar in a band called The Kids, who had just moved to L.A. from Miami. But the kids learned all too quickly the harsh realities of the music business. Competition was fierce, and the gigs were spotty. Eventually, the kids had no choice but to disband.
It sucked. I mean, it sucked. It was just, but we had no money.
Johnny needed a plan B fast. One of his new LA friends, an up-and-coming young actor named Nicolas Cage, had a solution. Cage set up a meeting for Johnny with his agent.
In my world, in my brain, I was a musician, and I got these acting gigs. It was basically just to pay the rent, pay the rent, be able to eat and buy cigarettes, That's really all it was for the first couple of years. I'd always planned on going back into music, which had been my first love for forever and ever. And then, one thing led to another, and I ended up doing it all the time,
Johnny's first audition was for director Wes Craven, who was casting a horror film called A Nightmare on Elm Street. Craven decided to give the 22-year-old guitar player from Miami a shot. Soon after that, Depp was cast in a small role in Platoon, Oliver Stone's 1986 Vietnam War epic. But it would be the small screen that would make a star of Johnny Depp.
I was asked to go and test for a TV series. So I went in and did it, and I didn't want it, I didn't want to get it or nothing, because I didn't want to be bound by some contract, and for God knows how long. Anyway, I got the thing.
Fox's 21 Jump Street, a teen cop drama, became an overnight sensation, and so did the star of the show, Hollywood's newest heartthrob, Johnny Depp.
Once the show aired, everything went completely upside down. They turned me into this great potential for a lunchbox and a thermos, People would be pointing at you and stuff like that, It's a very strange feeling. It's really very disconcerting. I don't know if anybody's ever ready for it, but I certainly wasn't. I was aware that I was very privileged at the time. However, the machine that was creating this image and selling it, that's the part. That's what really made me uncomfortable. The fact that it had nothing to do with me, or what I wanted to do, or what I was about. Once I got out of that deal, out of that series, I swore to myself, that I was only going to do the things that I wanted to do.
Which is what Johnny Depp has been doing ever since.
His choices are made on whether he believes in something or not. He could be, the $50 million guy. He's chosen not to, because he doesn't believe that that's what's right for him.
Rather than trading in on his Jump Street image, Depp instead chose to deconstruct it in movies like director John Waters' 1990 comedy Cry Baby. Depp played Crybaby Walker, a juvenile delinquent who falls in love with a high society girl.
When Crybaby came along, it was like being given pure oxygen. It was just a great joke, made fun of all those sort of movies that they expected me to do.
It was that same year Johnny starred in Edward Scissorhands.
Basically, Crybaby and Scissorhands were the building blocks, the foundation, for where I was going to be able to go after that.
So, when Edward Scissorhands director Tim Burton offered Depp the role of Ed Wood, the cross-dressing B-movie maker, Johnny jumped at the chance to further deconstruct his Hollywood hunk image. This time, leather was out. In Ed Wood, it was all about Angora.
I like to wear women's clothes.
All right, everybody, let's get set up for scene 112. And then move it in.
By the time they did Ed Wood, Burton and Depp had developed a close working relationship.
The great thing is that there's trust, which is the most important thing, I think, for any actor, any director. Is that sense of trust.
Well, I feel the same about him. I mean, you know, when you see somebody good, you don't have to say any, you know, you don't have to flex your, you know, whatever. You just, you kind of just enjoy what they're doing because it's a real collaborative thing.
You want to get up and you know, cut and so we see you better. Yeah. You know, I'll creep in. Exactly. And cut. Yeah.
Depp and Burton also developed a distinctive way of communicating.
I remember on the first film, on Scissorhands, Tim's direction was kind of like, you know, sort of sporadic, kind of verbal sort of hits, you know, like, you know, and you know.
I had a tendency to skip every other word or kind of race ahead and then kind of race ahead of the sentence and then kind of forget what I was talking about at the beginning.
It'd take you a minute or two to sort of grasp what he meant, and then I think we developed a kind of a language.
And make it a little bigger too if you want. It's like it's great. You get stuck, let it fall a little bit, and then bring it up. Yeah, exactly.
I never really noticed it, but people are saying, you know, when you and Tim speak, I can't understand what's going on. I don't know what you're talking about, because one minute you're talking about the character, the next minute you're talking about Sammy Davis Jr., and then you know, suddenly you know, some kind of strange instrument comes up. And
Johnny and Tim created the Ed Wood character by combining one part former leader of the free world and one part wooden dummy.
He was talking about like Ronald Reagan, and I was talking about like the upright enthusiasm of a ventriloquist dummy.
Are you people insane? I'm the director. I make the casting decisions around here.
Where in the first movie he didn't speak, and this one, you know, he just didn't shut up. It was like he did have a hand up his ass moving. You know, it was like he was like a ventriloquist dummy.
It was great to work with him. Just great. He's each time out, it's like playing a good tennis match. You know, you don't know where the ball's coming back, and that always keeps you alert and alive.
It's all in the eyes and the voice and the head.
That's right. That's right. You seem a little agitated. You want to go outside and get some air?
I'm ready now. Roll the camera.
There's something impeccably true about Johnny. And as a result, he's a joy to work with and to be around. He's an old soul. He's very wise.
in a sense, we were doing what Ed Wood did. You know, we were out there shooting this black and white film about a transvestite movie director in the 1950s. You know, in these really bizarre circumstances. But it didn't change our approach or our passion or determination to make it.
Those are explosions, and I've got to have more chance with the military. Right.
Ed Wood was the film that firmly established Johnny Depp as not only one of Hollywood's most gifted actors, but one more than willing to take risks.
The stuff that I've been able to do is the stuff that I liked, you know, that I responded to. The material and the characters. You got to try to challenge yourself and then not get bored. Try something new that hasn't been chewed up already.
Thank you and good night.
And when we return,
I think he's probably an agent's nightmare in that he doesn't think commercially.
By the age of 30, Johnny Depp had established himself as an actor with an uncanny ability to play the role of an outcast. But thrust into the Hollywood spotlight, Johnny felt increasingly uncomfortable as a celebrity insider, isolated by the attention brought on by stardom. Depp shied away from publicity, went to movie premieres only when he had to, and resisted buying into the trappings of celebrity. The first home he bought wasn't for himself, but for his mom. For Johnny Depp, acting was about the work, not about fame and fortune.
I think he's probably an agent's nightmare in that he doesn't think commercially.
Johnny really never picks anything easy and anything less than incredibly time-consuming.
I never had ambition, you know. I really hate that word, and it's so alive, that word, ambition, and it's so much a part of the American kind of, you know, greed, you know, gimme, 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 gimme kind of thing. But I always had a kind of hunger, you know, a drive.
Although his drive had taken him a long way from his small-town roots, Depp still went into his first Lasse Hallström film already having a pretty good idea of what was eating Gilbert Grape.
Johnny was very familiar with this character. The fact that he'd grown up in a small town and sort of felt imprisoned in this place helped a lot in interpreting this character.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape, released in 1993, is the story of a beleaguered young man trapped in a small Iowa town. He is a caretaker to his obese mother and his mentally retarded brother, played by Leonardo DiCaprio.
He's very loyal to the filmmaker and to the story. He really wants to get the story right and tell the story right. In reaching for that, I just love his technique, the low-key approach, the search for you know, honesty and emotional presence in each moment.
Playing a role of such inner emotional complexity impacted Johnny Depp in a very personal way. The question became not what's eating Gilbert Grape, but what was eating Johnny Depp.
That was a hard movie for him. I don't know if he talked about it, but that was a hard movie for him. It was a very emotional movie.
I did notice that he seemed a bit down. I mean, he kept more to himself. He didn't really socialize as much.
One of the things that was probably bugging me on Gilbert Grape was the fact I wasn't really clear on what it was all for, you know. What it was all about, Alfie. You know, just didn't know what it was all about in a way.
What was clear by the mid-1990s was that Johnny Depp had firmly established himself as a serious movie actor, playing roles opposite some of Hollywood's biggest names. In Don Juan DeMarco, released in 1995, Johnny Depp appeared with Marlon Brando and Faye Dunaway in a story about a psychiatrist who must cure his young patient of his belief that he is the greatest lover in the world.
It's a tribute to him and Marlon, I think, too. They became very close on that, and there was a whole kind of partnership there. And I think that chemistry worked very well.
The on-screen chemistry between Brando and Depp spoke to a deeper off-screen connection, rooted, at least in part, in their shared commitment to Native American rights.
Marlon Brando was an honorable person to the American Indian, where nobody else stood with him and went to the wall with us about the issues. And for him to be friends with Johnny right away says something about the both of them then.
Action.
Depp showed his support when he chose this topic for his 1997 directorial debut. The Brave is the story of a Native American ex-con who gives his life for the sake of his poverty-stricken family.
The Brave for me was about a lot of stuff that I wanted to expose. I drove across America and I saw places like that. I've been on the reservations, you know, where, yeah, these people, they're not given their due. You know, they're not. All that was promised to the Native Americans in the 1800s was all a lie. You know, it was all a big lie.
In fact, Johnny has more than a passing interest in Native American culture. Depp's great-grandmother was of Cherokee descent.
That blood in him is what kind of motivates how he lives, in a way. I think he's in touch with that.
He was very open to my suggestions about the culture, the Indian culture, and we're very sensitive to that. You know, we're very wary if directors don't listen.
The Brave is a dark, disturbing story about a man who sells himself to a snuff filmmaker, played by Marlon Brando, so that after his on-camera murder, his family will be taken care of.
Tell me, are you afraid to die?
How much will I be paid for that?
I'd say $50,000. I'll pay you a third of it right now.
When do you want me back?
Let's say 1 week.
I believe that the story of a young man who wishes to sacrifice his life that his people might live, in a sense, is, in the Indian point of view, honorable sacrifice.
Johnny made some sacrifices of his own to get the picture made.
It really took everything that he had, and he put everything that he had into it.
He put his own money up for that movie, and his performance stands out. It's a tough movie.
The Brave premiered at the 1997 Cannes Film Festival.
What happened was really interesting. I sat down, watched the film with 2,500 people. The audience, they gave the film a standing ovation. Next morning, one of the movie papers just destroyed it. People ran away from the movie at that point. You know. So it was really strange because the reception was beautiful. The next day, panned by the paper, and then everybody was like, you know, shut their doors and was frightened.
I mean, there are other movies that are totally meaningless that have been extremely successful, and so what? Is that success? I think the movie's a success because it's about something.
The experience at Cannes taught Johnny still another lesson on the workings of Hollywood.
It's amazing because essentially people have to hear their opinions. They have to read their opinions because they don't really have one. I hate that sort of mentality. You know, I can't stand it. And that's really what, you know, pretty much what Hollywood is. It's the beast.
Unfortunately, Depp's less-than-glowing reviews for The Brave was only one of many bad experiences with the press. And when we return...
I don't want to know what people think about me. I don't want to know any of that stuff. I want to be completely and totally outside that, you know, just stay ignorant.
Ever since the mantle of celebrity was bestowed upon him, Johnny Depp has been hounded by a prying and always ravenous tabloid press. His rumored multiple engagements and highly publicized romances have been the source of much of the paparazzi's focus, occasionally evoking Depp's need to give them a taste of their own medicine.
What? When are you guys getting married? Getting married soon?
Johnny? Are you going to change your underwear tomorrow?
Very outrageous. Johnny, what do you think about Selena's death?
Johnny's animosity towards the paparazzi has escalated over the years and has led on more than one occasion to his being cast as Hollywood's perennial bad boy.
But I mean, you know, it all makes for interesting copy. You know, fun sort of reading. There's been a tremendous amount of fiction written.
I understand his point of view because I don't think he got into acting to be, you know, on the cover of Hello magazine.
He's not out doing a public appearance. He's not doing a premiere. It's not on Hollywood Boulevard. You know, why do they have the right to bother him? And that's what I think bothers him the most.
Johnny took matters into his own hands in a London restaurant in 1999 when photographers refused to heed his repeated requests to be left alone to enjoy a private dinner.
Went after photographers with a wooden plank, which I approved of.
Look, the paparazzi are relentless. I think Johnny's never going to court them, ever. I think he never has. He's never going to. That's just a fact of life. You know, as long as he's famous, they're going to be around.
There's no way to fight this huge media animal, you know, other than to just keep silent and try to grow more middle fingers, you know. So far I've only got 2, but there are more coming.
Yeah. Really? Yeah? Why not? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody. That was headquarters. They want me to...
And I really do want to put it on record for anybody who has any criticisms of Johnny's performance. It's the most accurate version of Hunter Thompson that's ever been put on screen, or probably in the living world as well.
Oh, God. I hope that's not true. It may be.
First published in 1971, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, written by the father of gonzo journalism, Dr. Hunter S. Thompson, is considered by many to be the seminal literary work of the 1960s counter-revolution.
The world was turning upside down, and we were there, as Hunter says, at the crest of a wave. And it looked like we were going to make the world a better place, and then the war took over, and we all kind of crashed into depression. And then along came this book, Fear and Loathing, and it just took our dreams and depression by the throat and just went for it. And yes, and you could laugh at the whole madness of the thing.
Depp had long been an admirer of Hunter S. Thompson. Even before there were plans for a movie, Johnny had asked to meet during a trip to Colorado.
Met my share of sort of Hollywood punks. I wasn't judgmental on him, but I figured we'd give him a little bit of a ride. I think I took a cattle prod down there, and yeah, I liked him. So I invited him up here to shoot a bomb.
Being asked up to Hunter's to shoot a bomb is like a rite of passage.
It's a combination of nitroglycerin and propane, which, when you hit it right with a shotgun, goes off with a tremendous explosion. And I gave him a nickel-plated shotgun, 12-gauge riot gun. Little bastard pulled the trigger, and boom. Yeah.
And a friendship was born. But it wasn't until some time later that Johnny approached Hunter about playing him in the film adaptation of his book.
I was kind of amazed at the balls of it. You know, he certainly doesn't remind me of myself, except, and he did, spiritually.
To prepare for the role, Johnny actually moved into Hunter's ranch in Colorado.
Yeah, his room is still downstairs, sort of the Johnny's dungeon.
He had spent months with Hunter, you know. He was like a vampire up there, sucking his life blood out.
Not surprisingly, Hunter S. Thompson is not a man accustomed to being studied.
Not just studied, but mimicked. I mean, if I were sitting here and lighting a cigarette, he would be right next to me in the convertible, lighting the cigarette the same way, putting his hat on. I took my hat off, he'd take his off, I'd put it back on, he'd do that. And it got very peculiar.
When the time came to begin shooting, Hunter had some words of support for both Johnny and Benicio del Toro, who played Dr. Gonzo.
You know, I remember Hunter saying that, you know, actually he said it to Johnny and he said it to me, and he said, you know, your career is over after this movie. So people might think that, you know, they see that movie and they go, oh boy, you know, these guys must have been partying all the time, but I guarantee you there was no drinking, no, you know, nothing, no smoking, no nothing. It was just straight up.
It's hard work to look like you're drugged. I think the most painful thing for Johnny is that the cocaine he was snorting was powdered milk.
Oh, that's right. How about it?
And I think by the end of it, he probably had so much milk in his lungs he could breastfeed the crew if it came to it.
Well, the spirit of the book is quite clear in terms of the absolutely psychotic excess in all things, and they list of drugs up in front. Wow.
Do you remember it offhand?
Oh, 4 bags of grass.
We had 2 bags of grass,
mescaline.
75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers, also a quarter tequila, quarter rum, case of beer, pint of raw ether, 2 dozen amyl.
And when we return, Johnny Depp's role of a lifetime. fatherhood.
I've done some interviews where people say, well, won't you be ashamed in 20 years when your daughter reads that you were arrested for this or that? No, the answer is no, absolutely not.
After nearly 20 years as a performer, Johnny Depp has made a name for himself as an actor, respected for the diversity of his work.
When you take Edward Scissorhands to Ed Wood to Donnie Brasco to Fear and Loathing, there's a range there.
You would be hard put to say that this one very beautiful human being is capable of playing all those roles until you see that each one has got a quality as though he's never ever done any other kind of role.
Depp's performances range from classic literary characters like Ichabod Crane in Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow to his art-imitates-life roles opposite Al Pacino in Donnie Brasco and as drug lord George Young in Blow.
What I liked about Blow was George wanting nothing but freedom, just freedom. And the things that he thought would make him free before were the things that bit him on the ass. You know? A guy sitting in prison, you know, can't get to his family.
In 2000, Depp added a new wrinkle to his already varied career when he teamed up for the second time with director Lasse Hallström to play his first romantic lead role in Chocolat.
Well, in Chocolat, I see this guy, he's confident on all levels in a way that I didn't see on Gilbert Grape. I saw a man who was much more comfortable with the attention of a camera in Chocolat.
Depp's ethereal sensuality and gypsy mystique perfectly suited the fairy tale role of an Irish river minstrel who wakens the sexuality of a lonely chocolatier, played by Juliette Binoche.
There's a lot of soul and a lot of sparks between those souls, I think, that go on as they look at each other.
The role in Chocolat represented a rare swim in the mainstream for Johnny. Depp is, in fact, well known for passing on blockbuster films like the Keanu Reeves role in Speed and the Brad Pitt role in Legends of the Fall, instead seeking out more esoteric roles. Different is the word one could use to describe the role Johnny played in Julian Schnabel's film Before Night Falls.
Can you think of a better drag queen than Johnny Depp?
Even Johnny's friends and former co-stars were amazed, even confused by this performance.
And Before Night Falls, when he came out dressed as a girl, I fell in love right away, real quick. And then I realized, wait a second, that's Johnny. Don't do me like that.
I don't know that he knows how good he is in that movie. He looked great. I mean, he really looked great in that underwear. I mean, it was just, you know, shooting, going up his ass and up his back and his hair. You start thinking about Marilyn Monroe. When he had red hair, he looked like Sophia Loren.
He was beautiful. He was a beautiful woman. He was brilliant. He was flirtatious. It's as though he spent his career playing transvestites.
Before Night Falls is based on the memoirs of Reynaldo Arenas, a dissident Cuban writer who eventually escaped Castro's Cuba after being imprisoned for homosexuality.
Johnny was doing 2 other movies at the same time, but he showed up in the middle of all that, and he wouldn't let me pay for anything either. I mean, he worked for free, and he said, just put it on the screen.
Today, more than 20 years after the kids settled in Hollywood, Johnny Depp, the actor, is still a musician, continuing to seek creative fulfillment through musical expression.
I'd always planned on going back into music, which had been my first love for forever and ever.
And Depp has never stopped seeking out additional outlets for creative expression, recently revealing yet another layer to his artistic identity, painting. He paints subjects closest to him. Mom, Betty Sue, Girlfriend Vanessa Paradis. Director Tim Burton. And Hollywood legend Marlon Brando.
I came to France in 1998 to do a movie with Roman Polanski, and met Vanessa at that time. She's been, without question, the most important person in my life. I mean, she's given me the greatest gift that one will ever get. You know? Beautiful child, beautiful daughter. What else can you say, you know?
Depp and his girlfriend, French singer and actress Vanessa Paradis, along with their daughter Lily Rose Melody and son Jack, born in 2002, divide their time between Paris and a farm in the south of France.
I think he's a very happy Frenchman these days.
It's been a very positive thing for him. You know, it seems like he's, you know, moving to France. All of that has been very positive, very interesting, great choices he's made.
I understood it totally. I miss him. Yeah, he's a good one to have around. I definitely miss him. There's not too many like him.
You know, seeing him now, seeing him with Vanessa and his baby, the time's right. The work's over.
You know, fatherhood has been, well, I've said it before. I mean, it's really like, it's the only thing that I've ever done in my life. Everything else is just smoke.
Johnny! Johnny, look over here. Johnny, right here, Johnny. Johnny!
Johnny Depp's search for artistic fulfillment has resulted in his own unique version of success.
It's okay to be different, and it's okay when people call you a freak, and it's, in fact, good to be different.
I mean, he's succeeded. He did it on his terms, and he is a movie star. He picks what he wants to do, and I think he did it. But what he didn't do is he didn't sell his soul.
You know, ever since I decided to let go of the wheel, somebody else has been doing the steering. From where, I don't know, but I feel very, very, very fortunate. Because, yeah, my life is perfect now. I don't think it can get any better. I suppose one of the things that was ding ding. Now it's going to do it every minute.
You mind if I chain smoke?
87 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that there will be no smoking in California.
Thank you and good night.